Talofa lava, and welcome to the show, Audible David. Talofa lava. How are you, David Seymour?
Well, I'm very well. I've just landed in Wellington and looking forward to another great week. It's starting to get warmer here, not as warm as where you are, but,
it's not
we've got
windy.
to take what we can get.
It's not windy in Wellington, is it?
Oh, it's amazingly, it's actually calm in Wellington. So the plane actually landed in a straight line.
Yeah. Great to have you on Radio Samoa and Whawhetai Telelava. Thank you so much, Honourable David Seymour. Do you remember the last time you were in Samoa? Was it 2021?
I sure do. Well, sadly, it's the only time, but I had a wonderful visit.
Yeah.
Met wonderful people, including yourself, and saw some pretty good ceremonies.
Okay. Hey, let's talk about this policy title, One Law for All with One Future Together. Tell us more about this, if you can, please, David.
Well, I think it's really important, wherever you are in the world at any time in history, that people feel that their time on earth means something, that if they put in the effort, they'll get the reward, and they won't be treated differently because of things that happened before they were even born. And unfortunately, in history, there's been a lot of that, a lot of discrimination, a lot of inequality, a lot of bad things have happened. But the question is, do we try and continue that and say, oh, well, now we're going to discriminate the other way and make things better? Or do we say, no, treating people differently based on their race is wrong. That is racism. It stops now, and we are going to ensure that if you have greater needs for healthcare or education, then we will help you based on your need.
Right.
But we're not going to continue dividing people up and giving them different treatment based on their race.
Okay, David Seymour, what is in there for our Samoan and Pacific Island people?
The most basic human rights that everybody needs: the right to earn property, the right to be treated equally, the right to be seen before a court of law if you get into a dispute, to have the law applied fairly to you no matter who you are.
Yeah.
That basic bundle of rights is the only way that any society's ever gotten out of poverty and become a place that's safe to live.
Okay, I can see here, David Seymour, the policy does not mention the Treaty Principles Bill, which had been the centerpiece of AUG's election platform on co-governance at the last election. Do you know why?
Well, it's quite a different initiative. The Treaty Principles Bill was designed to identify what the principles of the treaty are and say, look, this is what the treaty means. A lot of people got upset about that. They thought that we were somehow interfering with the treaty. I think that was wrong of them to think that, but that's what a lot of people came to believe. I'm now, but nonetheless, I think it's important that these values, Parliament has the right to make law, that we're a democracy, that everyone's equal. Those sorts of things need to remain front and centre, whether it's got anything to do with the treaties, another matter.
Okay, David Seymour, if I may ask you, please, the cost of living, the petrol is expensive, the cost of housing and all that, those are the main problems that our Samoan and Pacific Island people are facing at the moment. What can you do with this?
Well, I think start by understanding the whole problem. The prices people pay are actually only half the problem. The other half of the problem is the wages that people earn. If you look at the last 5 or 6 years, a lot of people's wages have actually risen slower than inflation. So, the prices are a problem, inflation's a problem. We've slowed inflation down, mainly by the government borrowing and spending less money and the Reserve Bank printing less money, all those things. If you take that government cash out of the economy, you don't see prices rise so fast. So that helps. But I think in the long term, we actually need higher paying jobs so people can afford the prices that they see in the shops. And how do you do that? Well, there is no shortcut. There is no easy way to do this. You need companies to invest in better equipment and better ideas so that workers can go to work and produce more. And if they can produce more, the company they work for gets more money. If the company they work for gets more money, they can be paid more. That's. I mean, I wish I could say that there was the ACT Party had a magic shortcut, but that's the only way that you increase what people get paid. And if we can't increase what people get paid, then it's going to be hard for people to afford all the things that they want, even if we stop inflation.
Right. Okay. What is the long-term strategic direction you want ACT to take over the next 5 years, and what changes do you believe are essential for New Zealand to make right now?
Well, we're campaigning to unlock New Zealand's potential, and I think that there are 3 locks that are locking down our potential. One is our government has become too big and too complicated. It is unresponsive to people's needs. It takes too much tax. It spends too much money, and it doesn't always get people the education or the healthcare or the safety that people really need. So we've got to ensure that we actually get a decent level of. We actually have to ensure that we get a government that is smaller and more efficient, and we've got a lot of policies to do that. I won't go through all of them now. We spend too much time with stupid rules and red tape. People, it takes longer to get permission to build something than actually build it. With people go to schools because they want to be teachers and help children learn and develop their potential, but they just get tied up filling out forms. So, we've got to stop the amount of stupid rules and red tape. And finally, we've got to stop this obsession with identity politics. We're constantly saying to each other, "Oh, well, my ancestors got here first, and you're an immigrant." And the truth is that everyone in New Zealand is just trying to make the best of their life. And if we stopped obsessing over who got here first and just focused on the fact we all came here for a better tomorrow, then I think we'd be in a much better place.
Okay, David. I want to ask you about economic reform priorities. If you had the ability to implement only one major economic reform immediately, which one would you choose and why?
I would shrink the size of the cabinet and the government, because at the moment, government ministers have too many responsibilities and they don't do a good job of managing costs. So I would say only 19 government departments, only 18 ministers, one minister for one department, and they can fire the chief executive. And if we did that, we'd find that, the ministers would start saying, gee, there's a whole lot of stuff I don't need my departments to do anymore. I'm going to crunch it down, and I'm going to get only the things I need for the taxpayer money that I have. And I think if we were to do that, we would find ourselves in a very different place.
Okay. What is one policy area where you believe ACT has not communicated well enough to everyday New Zealanders, and how will you fix that, David?
Well, I don't know if it's that we haven't communicated well, but I certainly think that when you look at the treaty and our policies of equal rights for all, a lot of people have said that's anti-Maori, and the truth is that we're opposed to anybody being treated differently because of their background. The reason that Maori comes up so much is that it's the Maori people that a lot of people in government and politics think should be treated specially, and we're not in favour of special treatment of anybody. I think it's important to recognise that if we don't have the rule of law, freedom, equal rights, equal opportunity, then eventually somebody gets very upset because they see themselves as being treated as a second-class citizen. We don't want that, and we don't want to spend our time talking about what happened 200 years ago when we could be fixing it. We want to make sure that we're more focused on what we can all do together next week instead of what somebody did 200 years ago.
Okay, David Seymour, my final question. Elections is not far away from now. What can you tell to our Samoan people this morning?
Look, this election is really about are we going to expand the government, spend more money, borrow more money, raise taxes, and basically have a bigger government and a smaller economy? Or are we going to make the government smaller and more efficient and cut the waste to grow the country? That's the real choice here. Do we want bigger government or smaller government? Do we want more debt or less debt? More tax or less tax? And we are here as the ACT Party saying, look, the government's important, but it has the potential to swallow up a lot of people's efforts with higher taxes and more debt that children will have to pay off when they grow up and become taxpayers. We've got enough money in the government.
Right.
We've got to use it smarter.
Honourable David Seymour, Whawhitai Telelava, thank you so much for your time. Maria Lava, so have a great day, sir.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Whawhitai Lava. Honourable David Seymour, o le te tae, o le ACT Party, o le sui Panamia for o le Malo, New Zealand.